Is it time for recess yet? I'm so glad you found time to join us here on the Child Care Director's Chair, where Erica Sacoccio shares her best practices that she's refined through her passion of directing childcare centers over the last 23 years. From parenting interaction, systems to save you time, money, and stress, to profitability. She shares it all from the Child Care Director's Chair.
Welcome to the Child Care Director's Chair podcast, where we empower child care directors to be champions and leaders in the field of early childhood education. I'm your host, Erica Sacoccio, and today we are going to talk about how child care directors can become active advocates in their state and make meaningful impact on policies that affect children, families, and the early childhood profession. But before we hop into that, I'd like to say thank you so much to our listeners in Texas, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Massachusetts, Maine, Rhode Island. Thank you guys so much. Of course, all of our listeners, we are very, very grateful for you. But those states literally just download us hundreds and hundreds of times a week. So I just have to say thank you. I am eternally grateful for the opportunity to talk with you guys on a daily basis. And thank you for showing up and listening. Oh, I just want to say hello to my friends down in California. I don't know how I missed you guys, but yes, California and Arizona as well. If this is your first time tuning into the show, unfortunately, before I dig in, I like to thank my listeners and sometimes give you a weather report. So today it is sunny and wonderful. I am in Maine on vacation with my husband. It is Memorial Day weekend and yay, the beginning of summer. So, with summer coming around, you're probably not really thinking too much about advocacy as you're planning summer camps, graduation, and probably your own vacation as well, as you should. However, I feel like the summertime is a great time to advocate because you have time to really plan what you want to happen for the upcoming school year and what resources you need and who needs to hear about those resources. And so it gives you a little bit of time to be strategic about the message that you're sending. And, we talk about advocacy a little bit here or there on the show, but not as often as we probably should. So maybe that will be an area of improvement for us. But I think with everything that's changing right now in our industry, and there's so much conversation at the state levels and the federal level about the childcare crisis and the lack of programming and the lack of affordability and the lack of high quality and the lack of staffing and all of these things. Now is a great time to get your opinion in, whatever that might be. And we may not even agree on the same next course of action, and that's okay. I mean, I'd love to hear from you. You can certainly send me a message right through the fan mail link there in the show notes. I think it might say text the show, but text me and let me know what your thoughts are about advocacy and where we should be going with that. Because I feel like as childcare directors, we have a very unique opportunity and honestly responsibility to use our voices to advocate for positive change in our communities. Whether it's advocating for increased funding for early childhood education or supporting policies that promote access to high quality, or even raising awareness about the importance of early childhood development. Our advocacy efforts can make a real difference in the lives of children, families, and our childcare staff. So, how can childcare directors get involved in the advocacy movement? Let's explore some strategies and real-life examples. Firstly, it's important to stay informed about key issues and policies affecting early childhood field in your state. This might include attending legislative hearings, reading policy briefs, and staying connected with advocacy organizations and coalitions. So let's take Sarah, for example, a child care director who became passionate about advocacy for increased funding for early childhood education in her state. Sarah joined a local advocacy coalition and attended advocacy training sessions to learn more about the legislative process and how to effectively communicate with policymakers. Now that she's armed with knowledge and passion, Sarah has become a vocal advocate for early childhood education. She goes out, she meets with legislators, she's writing for co-ops, she's mobilizing her community to support policies that prioritize young children and families.
Hey, you. Yes, it's Erica. So I'm going to make a really quick announcement. I feel like there are some of you out there that are running someone else's center and you're ready to run your own. Well, I'm here to tell you you can do it. And our friends at thrivingchildcare.com also know you can do it as well. So hop on over to their website and look for the Create a Plan for Your Success, which is a playbook on opening up your own center, putting together a business plan. You can even get it downloadable and you could have it in your hands today. So make sure you use our special code. It is Child Care Podcast, all capital letters. Again, visit thrivingchildcare.com and let Adrian know Erica says hi.
I know you might be saying, Erica, I can barely keep up with what's going on daily in my own center. Never mind getting out and advocating and spending a lot of time in the lobbies of the State House. But you may not have a program in 5 years if you do not get out and advocate for what you need as a child care owner or director. Private centers are going to be closing down everywhere if we're not part of this conversation. So, it's either spend the time now or spend the time later, but you're going to be spending time talking about this. So it should be more on a proactive rather than reactive. That's the way I look at it. Now let's explore some questions that child care directors can ask themselves as they consider getting involved in advocacy. Maybe what are the key issues and policies affecting early childhood field in your state? How can you stay informed and educated about those issues? Also, I want you to think about what are your strengths and interests when it comes to advocacy, and how can you leverage them to make a difference? See, some of us might be really great at writing, and others might be really great at public speaking. And if you're great at public speaking, get out and testify. Maybe you're a great leader in getting people mobilized, but lean into your strengths and what you're interested in and figure out how can you use that right away, right now, to make a difference in what's going on in your state. And every state is different. And I think that's one of the reasons why me and Derek, when we were talking about the podcast, we talked about doing a weekly segment on In the News, just to kind of keep everybody abreast of what's going on. It varies from state to state. So don't think that what's going on in California doesn't affect you in Rhode Island, because it does. And if you Google, there are there's 5 states right now that have universal pre-K throughout their entire state. That means every single child has access to free, high-quality preschool. So if that happens in every state across the country, what does that mean for franchise preschool programs, privately owned, religious-based, business-based? What does that mean for all of these businesses in schools? It means something. And something big. So you need to really get on board and know what's going on. Also, I think when things work well in a state, you can use that as an example that you can use to show other folks what is possible and what advocacy organizations and coalitions exist in your state now and how can you get involved. I want to also talk about the benefits of becoming an active advocate for the early childhood field. First, advocacy allows child care directors to amplify their voices and make their concerns heard by policymakers. Also, sharing your expertise and experiences, directors can influence policy decisions that directly impact the children and families that they serve. They are looking to you for advice and guidance. They have never ran a program. They may not know all the ins and outs of the program, all the details. That's where you come in. You are the expert in the field, and they need your help before they make decisions, because the best decisions are made with information and experiences and examples. Secondly, advocacy provides an opportunity for directors to build relationships and networks with other stakeholders in the early childhood field, including legislators, policymakers, and advocacy organizations. These connections can be invaluable and advancing shared goals and priorities for children, families, teachers, businesses. And finally, I think advocacy also offers a sense of fulfillment and empowerment as directors see the impact of their effort in the lives of children and families in their communities. Whether it is securing funding for early childhood programs, expanding access to high-quality care, and maybe your part in that, maybe what the benefits are in having mixed models, or improving the standards for early childhood professionals, such as getting behind retention bonuses, getting behind free education for your teachers as they move up the career ladders, right? This money only comes from people and voices. If they feel that the problem has been solved and the voices aren't getting behind talking about it anymore, there's not going to be funding for it anymore. Right now, we're very lucky. At least I know in our state, they will pay for a teacher to get an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. I can remember not that long ago having to pay for my bachelor's degree, and it wasn't cheap, right? And so not only access for a high-quality program for children, but how about access to high-quality professional development, college-level courses for your staff, right? Because early childhood education is a profession. We know that we're professionals, but why are we paid differently than those in the elementary education or middle school or high school or college levels, right? Because there is a certain level or criteria that has to be met to work in those areas. The same really should be true for high quality early childhood education. And so we need to build that team, that staff. So let's wrap up today's episode with some resources where childcare directors can get involved in advocacy. Reach out to your state's early childhood advocacy organizations or coalitions to learn about opportunities for involvement and advocacy training. You also can join online forums and communities where childcare directors can share information, resources, and advocacy strategies. And again, that should really be state to state. So if there is a Child Care Directors Association in your state, become part of that. You also want to stay informed about legislative developments and policy priorities by subscribing to newsletters and updates from advocacy organizations and government agencies. So I hope that sparked some curiosity for you. I know that I love being part of advocacy. I have testified before, multiple times actually. I am a board member of the Rhode Island state affiliate for NACCE. I have been a president of the Rhode Island After School Association. I was also the vice president of that group, and I was a member of the Business Childcare Association owner group as well in the past. So there are lots of different organizations. There's also the Rhode Island Child Care Directors Association. So there's many, and I'm sure your state has many too. Get involved and find your people. Find your people. So that's it for today's episode of the Child Care Directors Chair podcast. I'm Erica Sicoccio, and until the next time, keep advocating for positive change and making a difference in the lives of children and families in your community. And as always, remember, it's the little details that make a big difference in the success of your child care business.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Child Care Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Child Care Director's Chair.